Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us this Friday evening on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you tonight. Reliance Industries delivers a robust first quarter performance driven by its consumer business. Retail revenues rise nearly 28% and margins expand over 100 basis points to an all-time high. Its oil and gas business has fired on all cylinders with higher price realization resulting in a 28% uptick in revenues. This has offset a subdued performance of its oil to chemicals business, which was hit by a sharp fall in fuel cracks due to the energy market dislocation a year ago. Jio Infocomm continues to deliver double-digit growth in the first quarter, helped by expanding margins and strong 15% EBITDA growth. The 5G rollout results in nearly 3 times the subscriber port-ins seen by competitors and a 30% rise in data traffic. The company says pan-India 5G coverage will be complete before December 2023. The average revenue per user comes in at 180 rupees and 50 paise. A sharp fall on Dalal Street. The Sensex loses nearly 900 points. The Nifty lost over 230 points, the biggest single-day decline that we've seen in 4 months. IT stocks get battered in trade after Infosys cut its growth outlook. The aviation regulator accepts GoFirst resumption plan, allows it to restart flight operations subject to several conditions. The airline can start ticket sales only after the flight schedule is approved. Around a dozen casinos in Sikkim and Goa come under the GST scanner. Sources say authorities are probing alleged tax avoidance to the tune of 10,000 crore rupees. Alleged that casinos paid only 18% GST when the rate is 28% and also made fake input tax credit claims. 30 top venture capital firms write to Prime Minister Modi seeking to reverse the 28% GST imposed on real money gaming. Say the move could wipe out $2.5 billion invested in the sector. US lawmakers express concerns over deficient compliance standards of Indian and Chinese pharma companies, asked the American drug regulator to inform about their plan to reinstate unannounced inspections in India and China. Both Chinese and Indian manufacturers have received the most amount of FDA warning letters. Parliament disrupted for the second day amidst uproar over the Manipur video where 2 women were paraded naked and sexually assaulted. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says the government is ready to debate. Opposition demands a statement from the Prime Minister inside the House of Parliament. Day 2 of rescue operations at landslide hit village in Maharashtra's Raigad district. At least 21 people have lost their lives. Over 100 people feared trapped under the debris. The government informs Parliament that nearly 18 lakh Indians have given up their citizenship and migrated to other nations since 2011. Over 2,25,000 Indians renounced their citizenship in 2022 alone. This is the highest since 2011. 7 leading artificial intelligence companies in the US agreed to voluntary safeguards on the technology development. This after top management of several AI majors met US President Joe Biden. Also on the show, the business of Barbie. We explain why the makers of the movie, which releases today, spent $100 million on just marketing. Well, we have a packed show lined up for you, but let's start with the market action. After rallying for over 2 days, the Sensex and the Nifty saw a sharp fall in trade today. So we saw the Sensex down by about 900 points, and we also saw the Nifty losing about 234 points. The Nifty Bank and the Nifty IT index were also down. The Nifty IT index reacting to the numbers that came in from Infosys. It was really the cut in guidance, the sharp cut in guidance, which took the Infosys stock lower and dragged the Nifty IT index with it as well. But let's go straight to the big earnings this evening. Reliance Industries has largely met estimates in Q1. Strong performance by the retail and telecom businesses offset the normalization of the oils to chemicals business. Its oil and gas business has also seen strong growth. Our team of researchers standing by to break down the numbers for us. Sonia, Mangalam and Sonal, many thanks for joining me, and of course Rima as well. Sonia, to you first, an overall picture of the numbers and how they stack up.
Oh, absolutely. It was a good set of numbers. No two ways about that. Strong operational performance overall. And like you mentioned, the star of the show really was the retail business. We'll talk more about that. But if you look at it, the oil to chemicals business was better than what the street was estimating, definitely. But the retail business with its 20% growth is what really took our breath away. Now, the Reliance Retail saw over 555 new store openings, and it was a steady quarter from Reliance Jio as well. We'll talk more about that later. The subscriber addition was strong. The ARPU increased. The The balance sheet of the company overall has also improved along with the P&L. So the net debt is now flat quarter on quarter, adjusted for the GFSL demerger. Just to give you the core numbers, they'll come up for you on your screen. Revenues on a consolidated basis are at 2.07 lakh crores compared to 2.19 lakh crores same time last year. On a year-on-year basis, the core EBITDA and the margins have improved. Margins have improved to 18.3% versus 17.3% year-on-year, while the net profits are down almost 11% on a year-on-year basis, coming in at 16,011 crores. The management commentary has also been strong. But as I said, consumer-facing businesses was the star of the show. So let me toss it across to Rima to talk about Reliance Jio. Rima.
It's a steady showing from Reliance Jio. The company has clocked in a 2.8% quarter-on-quarter revenue growth. On a year-on-year basis, revenues are up 10%, but EBITDA is up 15%. So double-digit growth for both the top line and on the operational performance, and margins have expanded even further to 52.3%. The average revenue per user, or ARPU as we call it, continues to inch up. In the current quarter, it's 180.5. In the comparable quarter of last year, that's last year, it was about 175 to 176. Subscriber growth has been very, very strong. In the current quarter, the company has added more than 9 million subscribers, and this is the best that we've seen in the last 4 quarters. But even beyond the numbers, the company's data traffic is up 28%, 60% of the industry traffic. The company has said that on the fixed wired broadband side, 80% of the net additions are going to Reliance Jio. The company has also successfully done the trial of 1 million new phones of Jio Bharat. So that's also, on track. And the company has said that they're on track to complete the pan-India 5G coverage before December of 2023. So all in all, it's a very good showing from Reliance Jio. Absolutely no disappointments. But the star has clearly been retail. So Mangalam, it's over to you.
Star indeed, and it's a record-shattering quarter for the retail business. Highest ever revenue, highest ever EBITDA, highest ever margins, and on a high base as well. Revenues up 19.5%, closing in on that 70,000 crore mark per quarter. EBITDA has jumped even better. In fact, it's a 34% jump year-on-year that we are seeing in the retail EBITDA, and the margins year-on-year have improved by 80 basis points, 7.4%. If you look at the internals as well, they've added 555 new stores, taking their overall retail footprint to 18,446. Almost 25 crore people visited Reliance stores in this quarter. So highest ever footfalls out there as well. Digital and new commerce doing extremely well for them, account for about 18% of their overall revenue. And going forward, the triggers, they are integrating the Metro AG business with them as well. Groceries saw a 59% growth year-on-year, led by Smart and Smart Bazaar. And the Campa acquisition did well for them. The beverages category grew 11 times. So clearly the star of the show, retail business with an expanding portfolio and improving operating leverage as well. But for everything else, we have oil to chemicals. Sonal, how did that look?
Well, for oil to chemicals business, it was a decline on a YY basis, but it was much better than what the street was working with. And this decline came in largely because of lower cracks. They have now normalized from record high levels that we saw in FY23. And that's the reason that there was a decline of 23% in EBITDA on a YY basis to come in at 15,271 crore rupees, but much better than what the street was working with. Around 14,900 crore rupees were the estimates. Margins at 11%, but if we look at the trend as well, you'll see that it was FY23 which was seeing abnormal profits there, and that has normalized in Q1 of FY24. But that is about oil to chemicals business. It is really the oil and gas business which is fired on all cylinders. It is a multi-quarter high margin number for the oil and gas business. Their EBITDA is up 47% at 4,015 crore rupees. Their margins at 87% versus 75.5% on a YY basis. And the company going forward is very bullish on the trends as far as the oil and gas space is concerned as well, because the third cluster in the KG D6 basin has started production, and they expect to increase their gas production by 50%, and they will cater to around 15% of India's consumption needs as far as gas is concerned at 30 MMSCMD. So good numbers coming in from the oil and gas space as far as Reliance is concerned. Back to you.
All right, so the numbers overall for Reliance Industries have been strong on most fronts. The operational performance has improved. And standard disclaimer coming up on your screen, Reliance Industries is the owner of the channel that you're watching.
And staying with earnings, Ultratech Cement reported a mixed set of numbers for Q1. The company's net profit and revenue are ahead of street expectations. Margins, though, missed the mark on a yearly basis. The company's net profit jumped nearly 7%. Revenues rose 17%. Domestic sales volume grew 20%. JSW Steel beat the street estimates on all fronts in Q1. Net profit nearly tripled on a yearly basis to over 2,400 crore rupees. Revenue jumped 11% to more than 42,000 crore rupees. EBITDA margins also surpassing expectations. And we're not done with earnings. Ashok Leyland posting a strong set for the first quarter, beating street expectations on both net profit and revenue. The company's profits up over 8 times that of the same time last year, while revenues are up over 13%. Margins also ahead of street expectations, coming in at 10%. Well, the big corporate story this evening, the aviation regulator, that's the DGCA, has accepted cash-strapped GoFirst plan to resume flight operations, but with several conditions. Now, the regulator has said the airline can start the sale of tickets only after the approval of the flight schedule. Danish is standing by with the details. Danish, certainly a positive development, but a long distance to cover before GoFirst can actually restart. Take us through the details of what the DGCA is saying.
Well, in a major development for GoFirst, the Director General Civil Aviation has approved GoFirst resumption plan. However, this comes with many riders. As per the approved plan, GoFirst can resume flight ops with 15 aircraft and 114 daily flights. The resolution professional has to submit details like proposed flight schedule, availability of resources like qualified pilots, cabin crew, AMEs, flight dispatchers, etc. Most importantly, GoFirst has to submit interim funding details, after only which the flight ops can begin. DGCA has said that the sale of tickets can only commence after the approval of flight schedule. DGCA has also said that flight operations will be subject to proceedings or outcomes in the current insolvency matter at the NCLT and writ petitions at the Delhi High Court. So DGCA has basically directed GoFirst to ensure compliances in order to fly again.
According to the condition that has been narrated just now, it seems that the Go Air has got a long way to go before they are able to fulfill all those conditions. The second most important thing is, what have they done about the engines that they may require? Suppose one engine fails somewhere, or the aircraft is grounded for some reason or the other. Do they have enough spare parts from Pratt & Whitney company?
Well, that's the latest in the DGCA GoFirst saga. You can catch more of that story on our website, CNBC-TV18.com. The details there for you to read at your leisure. Up next, the business of Barbie. We explain why the makers of the movie, which releases today, spent $100 million on just marketing. You're with India Business Hour. Now, alleged deficient manufacturing practices by Indian and Chinese drug makers has left US lawmakers concerned, and they've conveyed the same to the American drug regulator, that's the US FDA. Now, remember, the US sources 32% of generic drugs and 45% of active pharma ingredients from India and China. In a letter to the US Food and Drug Administration, the lawmakers have highlighted some of the violations of Indian and Chinese pharma companies. These include carcinogens in medicines, destroying or falsifying of data, and non-sterile manufacturing processes. The lawmakers have also raised concerns over the ineffectiveness of pre-announced foreign inspections by the FDA and steps such as discontinuing short notice or unannounced visits by the drug regulator. American lawmakers have asked the FDA to furnish details on the regulator's plans to reinstate unannounced inspections in India by the 1st of August. They've also sought details of in-person inspection of facilities that have been issued warning letters in the past decade. Now, SEBI's advisory committee deliberated over new total expense ratio norms for mutual funds today. Sources tell us that the committee expressed disagreement on recommendations made by the Mutual Fund Association on the last consultation paper. Now, remember, the industry had requested for the exclusion of GST and securities transaction from the expense ratio calculation. No final decisions were taken by the regulator at the meeting. The government has clarified that overseas credit card spends will be counted for the liberalised remittance scheme and TCS when banks and credit card networks are ready. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, the Economic Affairs Secretary Ajay Sheth said that card networks need to work on their merchant information along with card limits before the implementation of the LRS.
There are two aspects to this. One is the paupers, because they're based on the pauper, there's a differential TCS. The second one is this limit of 7 lakhs. Less than 7 lakhs, either it is exempt, or meaning that there is no taxation or no TCS, etc. So then aggregation also has to happen. Banks as well as card networks requires more time, and when they are ready, then the decision has to be implemented.
Well, the Economic Affairs Secretary making it clear credit cards will fall under the LRS. The timing, however, is not known. Over a dozen casinos in Goa and Sikkim are under the scanner for alleged tax avoidance of over 10,000 crores. Sources tell us that the Directorate General of GST Intelligence is probing the wrongful payment of GST at 18% instead of the mandated 28%. The agency is also investigating the misuse of input tax credit through fraudulent claims. Remember, Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra told CNBC-TV18 earlier this month that the rate of GST levied for real money gaming and casinos has always been 28%. He further added that the announcement about the GST levy on the sector after the GST Council meeting was merely a clarification and a reiteration. Indian and foreign investors in the online gaming industry have written to Prime Minister Modi about concerns over the 28% GST on the full face value of transactions. 30 investors have urged the Prime Minister to reconsider the decision as it could lead to a potential write-off of $2.5 billion. They've added that the decision equates the constitutionally protected online skill gaming industry with other games of chance. Chinese smartphone maker Xiaomi says it's betting on the affordable 5G segment. Speaking to Ashmit Kumar, Xiaomi's India president, said that the real 5G market lies between the 10 to 20,000 rupee range. Ashmit also asked him about the company's run-ins with the tax authorities in India. Here's what he had to say.
If you look at the way 5G has diffused across the market, the first was the high-end segment, the above 20, the above 30,000 segment. Today, a majority of the devices sold in that segment are 5G. Then it diffused into the 15 to 20,000 bracket. Today, maybe 80-90% of the devices sold in that segment are 5G devices. But the big opportunity actually lies in the 10 to 15,000 bucket, where we've launched a few devices. We've had the Redmi Note 10T 5G, the Note 11T 5G.
When we have geopolitical tensions between the two countries, India and China, does that then cause problems in terms of execution on the ground? Because the sense that one gets looking at the spate of regulatory action that we have seen in the recent past, whether that's ED, whether that's the seizure of assets, is that something that is beginning to reflect on your balance sheet? Is it beginning to reflect at the ground operations?
No, there is absolutely no impact.
Just a word, the conversation on the ED often raises the question on whether there are legal remedies being pursued or if there are concerns or measures being taken to satisfy the Indian administration on the commitment of Xiaomi to India. Just a word on that.
We'd like to reiterate that our operations in India are fully compliant with the laws and regulations of the land.
Well, that's Xiaomi on their India plans. And speaking of tax issues, only 8% has been recovered out of the alleged customs tax evasion of 8,000 crore rupees by Chinese mobile companies. The Finance Ministry has informed Parliament that Xiaomi evaded tax to the tune of over 600 plus crore rupees in taxes from 2019 to 2023, while Oppo evaded customs duty worth over 4,400 crore rupees between 2017 to 2021. The ministry has also identified 13 instances where companies evaded GST from July 2017 to June 2023. As per data, close to 1,100 crore rupees of GST was evaded, of which the authorities recovered 1,020 crores. Remember, these are allegations being made by the tax authorities. A month after reports of COVID data breach emerged, the government has informed Parliament about additional steps being taken to protect the privacy of data users on the CoWIN platform. These steps include a two-factor authentication feature, which is password and OTP while logging in by users. All log trails of users are captured and stored in the CoWIN database securely. Also, users have now been asked to reset their passwords. Some interesting statistics on Indians migrating to other parts of the world. Nearly 18 lakh Indians have given up their citizenship and have migrated to other nations since 2011. Now, as per data that's been shared by the central government in Lok Sabha today, over 8 lakh people have given up their Indian citizenship in the last 9 years. That is since 2014. Over 2.25 lakh people left the country in 2022 alone, and more than 87,000 people have given up their Indian citizenship so far. That is so far this year. It's important to note here that the number of exits increased in 2022 as people couldn't travel in 2020 and 2021 on account of COVID restrictions. Now, among countries, United States remains the top choice of residents of Indians settling abroad, followed by Australia and Canada. The violence in Manipur continues to rock Parliament. Now, both houses have been adjourned for the second day after a two-month-old video showing two women being paraded naked and sexually assaulted went viral on social media platforms. Today, opposition parties, including the Congress and the DMK, chanted slogans and demanded that the House take up the matter and that the regular business be suspended. They also demanded a statement from Prime Minister Modi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said the government was ready to discuss the grave situation but accused the opposition of not being serious. Meanwhile, 4 arrests have now been made after the horrific video surfaced.
चर्चा के प्रति विपक्ष गंभीर नहीं है क्योंकि सरकार तो चाहती है कि मणिपुर के मुद्दे पर चर्चा होनी चाहिए और स्वयं हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी कहा है कि जिस प्रकार की घटना हुई है पूरा राष्ट्र शर्मसार हुआ है और यहां तक कि उन्होंने ये भी कहा है कि कठोर से कठोर कार्रवाई की जाएगी। अब इसके बावजूद चर्चा नहीं कर रहे हैं लोग, इसका मतलब कि वो चर्चा से भग रहे हैं।
प्रधानमंत्री जी खुद एक बयान देना हमारा डिमांड है और बयान देने के बाद उसके ऊपर चर्चा होना और चर्चा के बाद जो निष्कर्ष निकलेगा कि ऑल पार्टी डेलीगेशन जाना या गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कोई इंक्वायरी होना, ये सब जो भी डिमांड आएंगे वो उस वक्त आएंगे अगर चर्चा हो तो ये हमारी बदकिस्मती है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर मणिपुर के बारे में वो बाहर स्टेटमेंट दिए लेकिन हाउस के अंदर पहले स्टेटमेंट देकर बाद में वो लोगों को बता सकते थे।
And it's day 2 of rescue operations at the landslide-hit village in Maharashtra's Raigad district. At least 21 people have lost their lives. Over 100 people are feared trapped under the debris. Yesha Kota reports from a temporary shelter that's been set up by authorities for those displaced due to the landslide.
I'll take you to the location where I am right now. This is in fact a rehabilitation center which has been set up for those who've been evacuated from the landslide location. The numbers for those who've been evacuated from there stands close to 95, and these people, in fact 75, had been brought out safely when the landslide occurred, but until yesterday night there were 21 people who were rescued alive from the landslide location. They were moved to a school, but now they've been provided a shelter in a temple where we are right now. This is approximately, say, 7 to 8 kilometers from the base camp and approximately 10 kilometers away from the actual landslide location. Now, to ensure that they are further provided with any kind of facility until they can get a proper rehabilitation, they are being kept here. They're being provided with food. Also, there has been several programs which have been announced by the government. Also, they're being provided with specific grains, food grains, and also a lot of help is coming in from people. The question, however, here remains the fact that they've lost their families, some of whom who are still staying there, that is, some of whom who are still staying in the base camp have in fact lost hopes of finding their family members.
And here's the latest on Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's conviction in the Modi surname defamation case. The Supreme Court has issued notices to the Gujarat government and BJP MLA Purnesh Modi. Rahul Gandhi had moved the top court challenging the Gujarat High Court's order that refused to put on hold his conviction and a 2-year jail term in the case. The apex court has adjourned the hearing now to the 4th of August. Prime Minister Modi met with Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe in Delhi for bilateral talks. Wickremesinghe is on a 2-day visit to India, and this would be his first visit to the country since Sri Lanka's severe economic crisis last year. Meanwhile, the two countries have signed an agreement for the acceptance of UPI in Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister said that this move will boost financial connectivity between the two nations. Well, from an iconic toy to the silver screen, the much-awaited movie Barbie releases worldwide today. The film starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling is expected to rake in more than $100 million in its debut weekend at the US box office. The movie's marketing team has been painting every town pink leading up to its premiere, spending $100 million on just marketing. Ekta Batra explains the Barbie marketing blitz.
Barbie, the doll that was introduced in 1959 and generated $1.5 billion of sales for Mattel in 2022, is serious business. With 86 million dolls sold in 2021 globally, that means 164 dolls being bought every minute. Mattel is banking on the Barbie movie to help monetize this iconic household brand outside the toy aisle. The Barbie movie, that was originally commissioned in 2009 and apparently caused a shortage of fluorescent pink paint during production this year, reportedly cost $145 million to make, with $100 million spent on marketing the movie. Mattel, which has been working on partnerships for the past year and a half, has secured more than 100 brand partnership deals targeting all ages ahead of the movie release. The partnerships range from Barbie Xbox, which is a console nestled in a 3-story dream house, to renting a bright pink Barbie Malibu dream house on Airbnb, to even buying a burger with pink sauce at Burger King. The brand is targeting all types of brands, from high-end clothing brands to the more affordable Gap and Forever 21, to shoe brands such as Aldo and Crocs. One can also buy a Barbie-themed fossil watch, to pool floats, to electric toothbrushes, donuts, or even generate a Barbie selfie. And it's just not brand partnerships. Barbie has literally painted cities pink, from Barbie-themed public transport to renaming subway stations to even lighting up landmarks in London in pink ahead of the premiere. The buzz created has also resulted in brands and companies just cashing into what is called the Barbie core aesthetic, from Barbie-themed pop-ups, parties to drinks such as glittery beer, with pink accounting for up to 15% of some clothing brand sales. Yes, while Barbie is likely to make back the $100 million in just, say, a few days of its release, the idea behind the collaborations is a part of Mattel's strategy to create brand awareness and expand Barbie's world beyond toys, as it sees growth opportunities in these franchise deals as exponential. Mattel, which made over $5 billion in revenue last year, was paid $25 to $50 million by Warner Brothers to make the movie. Either gets paid a flat licensing fee or 5 to 15% of sales on any collaboration. The aim for Mattel is to monetize the brand outside the toy aisle, while everyone is playing with Barbie, but not necessarily the doll.
Well, we don't know if you intend to party with Barbie this weekend in the theatres or otherwise, but whatever you do, stay safe and have fun. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned. The news continues here on CNBC-TV18.